Hello and welcome to another IGTV episode from As We Walk Along the Road. My name is Leah Courtney and I'm a homeschool mom of 4 and a blogger at aswewalkalongtheroad.com. And this is the 6th episode in a series that I've been doing called Homeschooling the First Year and Beyond. And it's especially for new or prospective homeschooling mamas, but if you've been homeschooling just a few years and maybe you're still working some things out and having questions, this is a series for you as well. So last week in the 5th episode, I gave an overview of homeschooling methods. And so this week, we're going to continue with that topic for the next 3 weeks and talk a little bit more in detail about a few of these more well-known homeschooling methods. So today I'm going to talk about 2 methods that I'm really familiar with because I use both of them. The next week I'm going to talk about 3 methods that I'm not as familiar with, but I will admit, in all my homeschooling years, I've been homeschooling a little over 16 years now, we have tried a little bit of everything. And then there's going to be a final episode wrapping up the discussion of homeschooling methods. So today I want to talk about 2 homeschooling methods that I have used and that we've loved in our homeschool. The first is the Charlotte Mason method. So if you hear people talking about Charlotte Mason, they are referring to an educational philosophy that was developed by Charlotte Mason, who was a British educator who lived at the end of the 1800s, early 1900s. And she came up with a lot of these principles of this education method, which she then taught to teachers. Because originally these were meant for a school, but the school that Charlotte Mason had in mind was very different from a traditional school, or what you would think of as a traditional school. So homeschoolers have been able to take these methods and adapt them very well to the homeschooling classroom. The Charlotte Mason philosophy has several main principles. One is that we use real living books to teach instead of using textbooks. A living book is a book that the child or the reader is going to be really drawn into. It captures your interest. It's a book whose interest lives on. It's not just like a flash of some popular character or something that's only popular for a brief amount of time. A living book is going to be a book that lasts for generations. Its message is something that we can understand generations after the book was written. You might think of classics as being living books. So most of what we read comes from these living books. Charlotte Mason also has some other principles. One is that we use short lessons and that there's not a whole lot of formal teaching, or what we now think of as teaching, in the younger grades with younger kids. In the Charlotte Mason method, children are going to do things like copy work, where they copy passages from great books. They're going to do narration, which is when you read a passage to them or they read a passage themselves from a book, and then they either orally tell you what it was about or write it down, a narration that tells what they just read, what they just heard you read. So those are just a few of the principles of Charlotte Mason education. It works well for us because I love great books, and because I really like this philosophy of a gentle education, where children are gradually taught these habits that are going to help them become lifelong learners. And they're not expected to sit in a seat and sit up straight and do workbook pages and 5 hours of school a day when they're kindergarten age. It's not any of that. And so it has worked very well for our family. The other method that I will talk about today that we have used and loved is unit studies. A unit study is when everything that you're learning revolves around one main topic. So for instance, if you're studying ancient Egypt, I think I gave this example last week in the overview, but you would have ancient Egypt would be your main central topic. With that as your topic, you would branch off and you would do different things for different academic subject areas. So for literature, you might be reading historical fiction that was set during the time of ancient Egypt. For Bible, if you include Bible in your curriculum, you're going to be reading about the Egyptians and the Israelite slaves and the 10 plagues. All of that could tie in. For history, of course, you're going to be reading some great books about the Egyptian dynasties and the pharaohs and what happened during the time that ancient Egypt was such a big power. And then you might even include things like science, where you examine the process of mummification and even maybe mummify a chicken. Although I haven't done it, I've heard lots of homeschool moms talk about their mummifying chicken experiments. So you can even include science that way, and maybe even math as you talk about pyramids and geometry. So a unit study will take that main topic, and then everything you're learning focuses around that. Unit studies can either be like a year-long program that is focused around one main topic, or they can be short mini studies that you use throughout the year, and you may cover a variety of topics throughout your year. We used for years My Father's World. It is a boxed curriculum, but it is a Charlotte Mason / unit study approach. So for the entire year, you're focused on a certain period of history. So that's your big overarching subject for the year. Everything you learn then revolves around that time period in history. Historical fiction that comes from the time period. Reading great living books for history instead of a textbook. Reading about that time period. Maybe reading biographies of people who lived during that time. So that's a way that you can do a year-long study. We also have done topical studies that were shorter. For instance, we often do holiday-themed studies around the holidays. So we might do a 4-week Thanksgiving study in November that focuses on the first Thanksgiving. And so everything that we learn, all of the different subject areas are going to focus on the first Thanksgiving. But that's a short-term unit study. So you can do unit studies either way. You can create your own based on topics or books that you're interested in, or there are many, many, many unit study resources that you can buy already ready for you. So that all you have to do is pick it up, look at what books and materials you're going to need, and dive in with your kids. I have some free unit study resources on the blog, and I will make sure that those are there available for you at the link in my Instagram bio. So if you go to my profile page and you click on that link, you can find lots of great free unit study resources, because that's one thing that I love to do, and I love to share those because unit studies have been so great and so much fun for our family. One thing about unit studies that I really love is that you can use them for multiple ages. So everybody in your family can be studying the same material. Now they might do different things with the material based on their age or ability level, but everybody is learning the same central theme or topic. So that's an overview of a unit study. Next week, we will dive into a few more different homeschooling methods that are well known that you might hear about. But make sure that if you have missed the first episodes in the series, that you scroll down and you find those on my Instagram page, because all of those are right there, the previous IGTV episodes that go along with this series. I would love to hear your questions and answer them. I would love to hear your comments, so leave those here for me on this IGTV video, or send me a message and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. Thank you for watching, and I will see you with the next episode next week.